that a Scrubs reference? Was that a Scrubs reference? Or
Welcome back to CrestVahllen D&D, everybody.
Banana Hammock come from somewhere
the
else?
Orange
No,
Flame. Well,
that
this is the
was.
Burnt Ends. Goodness gracious, we're already off the rails. We're talking about episodes 38 through 40.
To me, that's always Todd from Scrubs.
Yeah, no, that totally is.
Well,
Yeah.
Apparently, it's also
Banana Hammocks,
becomes
sorry.
okay. It's also become a Scrub podcast. Whoever wants to watch it, or don't. Great.
Sir, you think my name is Turkleton?
Oh, you're the janitor?
No, not
Dr. Chris Turk.
Yeah, sure.
I see. No, I didn't watch
Dr.
all of the
Turkleton.
Scrubs.
I
Dr.
like Scrubs,
Dr. Kelso
man.
thinks his
Like,
name is Turkleton.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Kelso was kind of.
It's always been
Anyway.
Dr. Turkleton.
Mhm.
His name's Chris Turk.
Okay.
But Kelso doesn't care what their names are.
No.
Mm.
It's just like I gotta train.
So he
you.
calls him Dr. Turkleton. Never mind.
Is it the old guy or the tall
Yeah,
guy?
the old
That's
guy.
the old guy.
The tall guy's the janitor.
Yeah.
No. The tall guy
The
is
tall guy is Dr. Cox.
Dr. Cox.
Dr. Cox. He's my favorite because he's such an.
He's supposed to
asshole.
be, yeah.
I love him.
He's a doctor who cares. But
He's,
He's
he's
everybody's-
the
he
anti-hero.
doesn't give a
He's
crap
like-
about what you think of him, but he actually gives a crap about his patient.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
an
Anti-hero.
anti-hero. I'm into that. If I could be an anti-hero.
Anyways.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's not like as of now.
Yay for
Embers is
9
being
hours of
painted as
shopping.
an
Yay,
anti-hero.
9 hours of shopping.
Because how many sessions have we thought were going to be the shopping episode?
Yes.
And
So
then got derailed.
also, you guys got your spells in that you
Well,
want.
that's the plague I got.
That's a cool twig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
So I bought myself this
Oh, you
plague
did?
and painted it.
Oh, look at this. This is so cool. You look at it.
he's like ready to pounce.
Or right,
Really
or he's
cool.
like waving. I figured like there could be a number of different things that it could be. That he's
Yeah.
doing.
He's cute.
He's really cute.
Did you just go to the Halloween? Did you just go in your Halloween decorations? Go. I'll take
There you go.
that
No,
spider.
it's like an actual
Mini.
Mini.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I have a bunch of spider minis as well. Then I
Yeah.
went on Halloween store and I bought a whole bag of like 300 little mini spiders just because I was like, fuck it, I don't have time to paint all of these. And I knew that spider battle at the beginning of our campaign around there was coming up. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to put a shit ton of spiders down. I'm just gonna buy a bag of spiders and just be done with it. And it worked out pretty well.
Well, and I figured this way too. And like he's
I've
unique
said it a few
enough to
times.
be like
Yeah,
that's clearly
exactly.
plague and not one of the
You got your wolves back too.
yeah. So yeah, those are in the.
Sorry about that.
I
was
have
using them
said
for
it
the other
before,
campaign.
and I will say it again. Fuck those spider battles.
Yeah, I know. Cole really hates those.
They were
Like,
super cool maps,
I know,
but they are
because you
super
react.
scary.
Right, yeah. But because you react so much to them, I'm like, gotta bring the spiders back.
Well, no, I mean
Now
it's-
we can pretty easily protect you from poison, though. So, like,
Right.
as long as I'm not unconscious, I can deal with it myself.
as long as TJ's not throwing stuff that needs greater restoration at us,
Yeah. Also,
we're
here's
fine.
you guys know who Lolth is.
But then he sends stuff that needs greater restoration to fix it.
That's
Yeah.
Every other
Guys,
battle.
okay.
So,
So we were talking about this.
Noel and I
before.
were talking about this actually. It is my intention to challenge you and send detrimental effects towards your way to understand what it is, how deep of the shit you guys are getting yourself into. It is not my intention to constantly throw your way things that cause things that only greater restoration can heal. But, however, all of these creatures that hold on a second, all of these creatures that have done these things to you have been literally rules as written straight from the book, and absolutely makes sense that they would be in the environments in which you went into. Ghosts, straight from the book. Any of those golems, straight from the book. Spiders,
What
straight
about
from the book.
Shit.
zombies
Idle.
The zombies. Another thing that I made
that you
but-
throw at us at second level
Yeah.
that
Well-
need a fifth level spell.
So
to
here's
cure?
the other thing, too, is because when you guys get to the level at which you have fifth level spells and you can just cast greater restoration with impunity, except for the components, you guys are gonna feel like gods. You guys are gonna be like, we don't need to worry about this shit anymore, and it be that hurdle that you have surpassed because it's been such a problem from the before. It's gonna feel that much more potent.
We don't need
I- well,
500
I will
gold
say this:
to
it took a nat
fix this
20
problem.
for you guys to get it. However, he did listen to you guys constantly bitch about not having a workshop or workshop time, and gave you something.
Yeah, but I had to
So,
roll
That
like
was,
a.
honestly, that's been there since the beginning of the campaign.
Really?
Yes.
That like
That mobile workshop has been there since the beginning of the campaign.
I mean, that was a huge boon.
It has been a boon to the high clerics of Moradin since the beginning of the inception of the world, and it was a boon that was granted to you because
We were
of
talking
something
about
you made.
making one,
Yeah.
so that saved us a whole lot of figuring out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm glad we decided to try just a little different persuasion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like sitting like that. I look like, hey, welcome to my man cave. I don't like that.
In exchange for some junk from my bag,
I mean,
Freeing up more space.
I'll take it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, here's another arm. You had all those arms.
Mhm.
How many arms did you find?
Just two. I had a full arm and just a hand.
Oh, okay. And you
Yeah.
gave the hand to the church, the town,
Manny.
to Manny. Okay.
And the arm went
The
to
church,
the church.
yeah,
I
the
was
church got
doing
the full
this. I was
arm.
like, this is a rather large arm.
The church got the full arm.
Man.
I gave Manny just the hand.
And you got the dagger.
For a hand and a dagger that were probably worth like
Mm.
2,500 gold, we got like 1,700 or 1,800 gold worth of stuff, which
yeah.
it's not a terrible trade.
Yeah, typically when you're bartering, you got
And
I'll
like
be honest.
the dagger wasn't magical, right?
Right,
It was
no.
just
pretty.
gems
Valuable.
and gold.
Right.
Gold,
Yeah.
silver.
And I'll
For
be honest. I was
3
right there
magical items.
as you're doing this, and he goes straight trade. I'm like, Boots, shut up, shut up. Do not say anything and fuck it up.
No, but thank God that you kept all those random pieces.
Right.
You know, like, I'm glad that you're a
I'm-
little bit of like a hoarder.
You
you
kind
know?
of remind me of like Keyleth when she took that feat inspiring leader, and she had 0 to her charisma modifier, so she didn't really get to add anything to how much hit points the
Yeah.
people would gain.
Yep.
The temporary hit points would you gain? Be like, we can do this, you guys.
Here's extra hit points.
I
0.
jumped off of a cliff and turned into a fish. We can do this. And it was kind of reminds me of like Zemdak in the same way. At some point, he's gonna be like, "You've got this." I'm very excited for you to take feat that requires your charisma.
Okay. I mean, I don't need any more attribute points. Everything is
true.
feats from here on out.
I mean-
Right,
Yeah.
your max intelligence.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you could use wisdom or constitution.
I think,
Good.
Well, what do you use for your weapon attacks?
Intelligence.
yeah.
If it's a
second,
magical
third level
weapon,
for you?
I get to use my intelligence as my
Why?
attack.
Because of your battle master ability.
So I don't need anything else.
No, I don't think.
Con could help you.
Yeah.
I think you and I are the only two who don't really need to take any more attribute increases.
I think it'd be fun to
I
just
could
play
Con
with.
probably
helps
not
always.
too,
Wisdom always
honestly.
helps because you.
For me, if
it's
I
easier
keep
to resist spells.
if I keep up with light armor, Dex helps. It just bumps my AC every 2.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a
But-
big Dex. I'll dump everything to Dex. No matter what fucking.
But I don't need
Yeah,
it.
you're Dex for it.
I'm a Dex whore. I
Oh,
would
I do.
absolutely put everything to Dex.
I don't need it though. So like to me, like flavoring him with extra like things that he can do
Yeah.
to me
kinda
makes
fun.
more sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got.
So it is behoove us to talk about Fernua and Eleazar.
Yeah.
That,
That was intense.
Yes, it was.
I mean, if you had wanted to cut her head off, I think every one of us would have like held her down for you.
Right. Yeah.
Not that would have killed her.
Right.
No.
Right.
She would have just come back.
She would've
which is
just come
the-
Yeah, that was an interesting exchange.
Well, but-
because you can imagine.
But what happens if we cut her head off and then we toss her head somewhere else? Does she become like the headless horseman looking for her head?
No,
So your understanding about how the revenants work is that she will just eventually just re-manifest back together.
once per dawn, she just regenerates.
Even if you threw her in the
So-
magma pool that was in the temple.
As long as her body is there, she just comes back as her. If her body is completely destroyed, revenants take over the nearest dead body to where they died,
Nice.
And then they transform that body into
Into
the
them.
form of who they are.
and they just come back.
Yeah.
And they do that over and over and over and over.
Until the object of their vengeance is vanquished.
Is vanquished.
Gotcha.
So killing her, while satisfying,
Right.
So that's the other thing too, is an interesting
Sucks.
scenario because you could essentially have exacted your pseudo vengeance with impunity because there were no consequences.
Right.
Right.
It's not like you would actually kill somebody. It's
she
like
just comes back.
punching like those wobble wobbles. And it just keeps coming back. Or wibble wobbles.
Weeble wall.
Weeble wobbles.
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Exactly.
It's called the
Market.
punching bag.
Yes.
But it's also, morally more than questionable.
Yo,
Yeah.
Oh
What were you
yeah,
gonna
and
say?
no,
Sorry.
no. Just that was kind of the key. You know, it was a moral thing, and then I think at the end of the day, the oath of vengeance, that role. I'm looking for the person that has her under control.
Yeah.
She's
Mhm.
The greater
she's
evil.
right. That's the whole greater evil thing.
Right.
You know, and then we have had battles with her, and she's been helpful, and there's been times where she stabbed us by accident. That's caused
Many
you know,
times.
Good question.
Many
Yeah.
times.
You know,
I'm
so
still
it's-
actually I'm still convinced it was Emrys took control for a second and
He's over there like, yuck, yuck.
He's like, "Hey, yep."
let me see if they actually know what they're doing.
From now
Stab
on,
the cleric.
like, I wonder if we tell Pernua to take,
Stab
like,
the cleric.
Pinjack and Ermgrim and just to, like, hang back 40 feet from us.
I
That'd
mean,
be a
having her
Just-
protect
Or-
That
Pinjack
is her
would be-
profession. She's a town guard.
Right.
She knows how
Yeah.
to protect
Just
people.
you make sure these two don't die.
Right.
If we all get in trouble, take them and run away.
Right.
Yeah. I
Just
Um,
like
But we need
Ermgrim
to-
is also like he's not like he's
he's a
no
cleric.
flop.
if
Plays a
According,
low
according to
one.
Argus, he's
Efficacious-
pathetic. You know.
well he's as efficacious as Pernua in combat, if not more so, because he can do
So
magic.
he's gonna hit us with his spells. Is what you're saying.
They require attack rolls. So yeah, I was.
So
at
where's
the-
our first dog at? Where's what was his name again? The first
Crash?
Yeah.
My dog?
yeah, where's
He-
Crash?
Conk now?
He died.
Is he
He-
completely gone?
yeah, he died in the
used-
same one that
Uh,
Shenny
to bring me
died.
back.
Destroyed, disassembled, and then
Um,
cannibalized. His parts were cannibalized in order to make Conk.
I got
And
you.
that.
Okay.
Were you there when we went down into the sewers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Conk was destroyed.
When-
well,
When Trisheni died the first time in the like swamp beast thing,
I remember that.
I pulled his battery out and we used it in the ceremony that brought her back.
Okay. Okay.
Well-
Gotcha. Okay.
When we went back to like retrieve him,
Mm-hmm.
he had been stolen.
I got you.
And that's how we met Sofka.
Yeah, in the battle where we were trying to get him back was where Sofka popped out of the shadows essentially and helped us
Okay.
beat those like the scavenger bad guys.
Okay.
And we got Crash's body back,
Mm-hmm.
and then I took like pieces of him parts, like I parted him out, and I
Mhm.
made my new guy Conk, who's more like sort of gorilla shape
Okay.
instead of dog shape.
Okay.
ropes and shit. Yeah,
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah, you missed.
because of all the issues we had. Like I gave him hands so he could
That makes sense.
he could climb ropes.
Yeah,
on
we
his
were tired.
own.
We were tired of having to pull, Crash up everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny because I still haven't developed Eleazar's full personality after all that trauma that he's been.
Yeah,
through.
yeah, that's fine.
I'm still
You're
kind
probably
of
still in
building up.
shock
It
somewhat,
probably,
right?
It's probably going to take him a while to deal with that and develop that new
Your
personality,
process.
too.
I was
Right.
rather proud of us working together on that. Your feelings toward Pernua eventually came to a boiling point,
Mhm.
and I can't. The tenets of vengeance in the book fit so goddamn perfectly
Right.
into what it is that you were going through at that moment. First, by any means necessary. This is it. By any means necessary.
Mhm.
Restitution. If my foes wreak ruin on the world, it's because I failed to stop them. I
Mhm.
failed to stop you from like doing torture on me. I need to stop you. And then wait a minute. Or I'm sorry, no mercy for the wicked. And then more was ordinary, like no mercy for the wicked. It was by any means necessary, no mercy for the wicked. And then you were like restitution. Maybe this happened because I failed to stop the bigger threat.
Right.
And then the other thought, fight the greater evil.
And then what's
She's not the
crazy
source.
is that I actually got a little emotional at that moment.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest emotion swing when I picked her back up. I was like, everyone deserves grace. You say,
Oh, yeah, no,
right.
Totally.
He knows how to strike you just right, because I was in that baker's dozen session when they all of a sudden were dealing with Miss Shenny finding out that Trish Shenny had died, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there just right here, and all of a sudden I'm back into the moment of
Yeah.
Trish Shenny dying and us trying to resurrect her and everything like that, and I was like, fuck. And I was off camera at the time, and I remember saying it as soon as the break happened. I was like, God, I'm so glad I was off camera, because I was almost breaking down over in the
Yeah.
corner.
It was really
makes-
rough living
Yeah.
through that again.
So
honestly.
all of that, guys, it makes a lot of sense for your character. I really love how you guys are emotionally getting into your characters like that. If I'm not making you cry every once in a while, I'm not doing my job. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so it's really
Crash's
so much sense.
Crush's head, like his
Yeah.
dog head,
Mhm.
is essentially like it's a little bit flattened out, but it's like the chest piece.
Okay.
Right
Of
here.
comic.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of like a Witcher style
Yeah, just like really big
Okay.
on the
Let's
chest.
see.
dog head motif.
I think
That's
about
cool.
how-
Just to kind of like a,
actually.
Yeah.
it's like a
It's a
remembrance.
nod
Term
to
is now
Right.
So-
numbness.
Yeah.
The new
honorary nod to
battery that I made for him,
Numbness, and then we had to
um,
escape the city. and
essentially
we had to
turned
get away from
into,
the worm, and then we were falling down the
sort of like a
tunnel.
storm itself. Like it's a storm in a bottle.
Right.
And it's sort of Iron Man style, like
Okay.
inside of his chest.
Uh-huh.
So there's little like through his eye holes, you can see like the
crashing.
occasional like lightning strikes inside of there, and like the grayish light coming through the clouds and things like that. So
That's cool. But you guys know I felt completely funny about taking those two like magical weapons. I was just like,
yeah,
Oh,
I get it.
like you
mean,
know, I
you
felt
Put
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
for one, you put towards most of the
Your dagger
the
bought
recompense or
those things.
the
So
compensation for said items, and two, it makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
for you to be able to have magical ranged capabilities because you just don't.
You didn't
Right,
have
but
to-
keep in
Well,
mind
yeah,
when
Everyone
you're
else does.
right, but when you're a team, like
Yeah.
sure, I physically had the dagger, but I would have given the dagger for anyone else to get something. So I didn't feel like, well, this is mine. Well,
Yeah.
this is my dagger,
Yeah,
and I'm going to use it for.
no,
Right.
for sure. But it also makes sense as a team for all of you to recognize your weaknesses
Yeah.
and do your
But,
best
I mean,
to
and we all
ameliorate and
Yeah.
those
from
deleterious.
all perspective of all of us as a whole, those things are better suited in your possession.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
anybody
you can
else.
come
When we
back.
get into
Uh,
battle,
You're the chunky steel meat shield that needs more health
yeah,
Right.
and that needs capability of hitting somebody.
shooting
at
things
magical
far
range.
away.
Yeah,
Like
you
I do
didn't
like
have
the
to-
belt. Like I read the belt like really clearly, like
Yeah.
when I had it,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh shit.
I mean, you're gonna go in
You
there.
are you
Yeah.
will now officially be the person with the highest HP in our
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
Not only that, you're gonna be able to go in there and
Yeah,
heal
so
at the
right
top of your
now,
turn every
we're-
time. You're just gonna get to just keep coming,
Right.
Yeah.
which is big for a paladin because you're meant to like take the hits and
That's
just keep
right.
coming.
You
Right.
are
Yeah.
one less person I have to heal in combat.
you
Right.
heal automatically.
It ain't
Plus,
Argus,
you
it's
can heal
healing.
yourself
And-
if you
or
really
if
need.
you go down, you still have to be healed.
yeah.
Right.
Or, but you could heal somebody else too. That's
And
the other
once you
thing.
do go down, it doesn't heal you.
Right, right. And I've been preparing that shield of faith too because I want it to be
Well,
hard.
and that will help you out
to
with your
touch me.
concentration
So
checks.
what is
Yeah.
your AC at the moment without the shield? Is it 19?
It's 21.
21 without the shield of faith because of your defense fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
18 for plate, 2 for shield, plus the one that I gave
For
him.
well, plus the one for defense.
Yeah,
Right,
plus the
and-
one
Well,
for his
no,
fighting
it's 16 for plate, isn't it? Is there 18?
style. It's 18.
18 for
Full,
plate.
full
Yeah.
plate's 18.
Well, and
You,
what's your
what did
dex
you take
score?
for your fighting style?
It's
The-
defensive.
Did you take defense?
Yes, I did.
Well, and it's
The plus
also
one,
Because I've got
Heavy
the shield.
armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't give him extra
That doesn't
AC.
give him extra AC. It just
Right.
Just
He reduces damage.
all damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing by 3.
Oh,
every time
the
he gets hit.
heavy armor. Yeah, mastery gives me what is it a plus?
No, it doesn't give you a plus anything.
No,
it
that's for the damage, right?
just minus 3
Minus
to all
damage.
bludgeoning,
Right.
piercing, and
But that
slashing.
saved you before. I remember
Yeah.
that very
So you get-
distinctly.
You get hit with a
So,
weapon.
yeah, there were 4 options that you could have taken: defense, dueling, great weapon, fighting, or protection.
I have defense.
You took defense.
So plus
you
one.
have 18 from your armor, 2 from your shield brings you to 20, 1 from your defense,
21.
and then 1 from the shield that you enhanced.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Argus
no,
still
I
has
haven't
the
done
advantage.
it.
shield.
Yeah.
So
I
that
was
puts you at
talking about-
21.
I was
Mhm.
talking
That's-
about giving it to him.
Big. That's a
Okay.
lot. And then if you concentrate on Shield of Faith on
That's
yourself as it, that's
23.
23.
Yeah. So between you and I being the blender, if I'm dancing,
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very difficult to hit. So I'll just throw a bunch of saving throws. At
Right. He's gonna he's gonna have
Granted,
to,
work.
he's gonna
Even
have to
within
throw
10
spells.
feet of him, you guys both
get
get
the
the
aura
bonus from his
protection.
aura protection.
Yeah.
If you guys can
It's
do that
huge.
with them like right in front of a door, I can put that cloud of daggers in
Right.
the doorway.
literally a blender.
Yeah.
Right.
So that just makes us more effective. Like giving you those things make all of us more effective.
Right.
So-
It ameliorates your weaknesses and enhances your strengths.
right? And I'm
Absolutely
definitely
zero.
gonna have to be really
question.
strategic when I get my next feat.
Right. So
Yeah.
next level is 8th level, guys.
Yeah.
And that's when you
Yeah.
get
For
your
some
ASI, your
people.
ability score improvement. Right.
So-
for those that didn't multi-class, it is ASI, which means you get
Charisma.
This was
2
the
points
best
to
that
allocate.
we had multiple
Right.
classes early on, not late.
So
in
you
the
get
game.
you can get 2 ability scores
because you get those
if you
sorcery
really
points.
want it.
Those
Right?
sorcery-
So
Well,
like you
don't
could
have them
bump
yet.
your charisma
You
No,
got font
Up
of
to
magic.
17.
up to
That
16.
will actually
gives you a
probably
plus
be my
3
next
instead of
level.
plus
I will
2.
think.
Sorcerer.
I
And you
just
can put the other points
because
in.
I had delayed taking
this is gonna
magical
bump.
secrets to be
When
to
I
multi-class,
tune with the
I
belt,
wanted
it's
to
that's
take
gonna
my
jump to
magical secrets as soon as
14.
possible.
Okay.
And it kind of made sense since
Yeah.
Cole was kind of willing but didn't understand what he had
So-
kind of agreed to.
How hard you hit with your sword
God, meta
How
magic
many
is
hit
just
points
so
you have.
good, though.
and how
Oh,
effective your
I'm going to be
spells.
taking at least
Okay.
3
Those are your
levels in
3
sorcerer.
most important scores.
Yeah.
But then there's also other feats, right? That
Right.
instead of giving you points, they make you do other things.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah, because I spoke to
the
TJ
trade-off,
about
right?
what
you
was
got
it?
the enhanced breath weapon this
Yeah,
game,
what's
didn't you?
that about? What, can you
Yeah,
give us a little
no.
preview of it?
So-
Like, you know.
You got some power.
I mean that is a little bit of your ranged weapon, but outside of like that 30 feet, unless it's changed with your enhancements.
15.
Demetrius and I had talked about this over the
15.
past of the couple weeks,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Okay, cool. I noticed that y'all were creating your own custom spells and abilities and like paradigms and all this thing. Like, I want to do something else. Like, what if we did something with my breath weapon?" And I'm like, "That's awesome. That makes a lot of sense. Let's do that." And I said, and we came up with something really cool. Feel free to share it if you like.
Yeah, sure.
And I said, but I mean, you most likely won't just have this out of the gate. This will most likely be a boon or like something that you
Down
would
the road, he said.
down
Yeah.
the road that you would
Right.
gain if your deity recognizes that you did some sort of task or like restitution. But what you did,
Yeah.
what you did in that moment was just so beautifully like storyline,
Yeah.
recognizing that the oath that you made to your deity would be better fulfilled if you took your vengeance out on a different individual
Mhm.
rather than the one that was right in front of you. It was purely you bang 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 like
And I wasn't expecting that to happen.
knocking
so that's
down
why, yeah.
exactly, and neither was I.
Right.
It's just knocking down through those tenets and realizing and having that realization and then praying and be like, I understand now. You now having a much deeper intrinsic understanding of what your oath of vengeance actually means
Right.
was like then the one blizzard was like
Oh yeah, cool.
very well.
Have this.
And
Good on
so
you.
essentially it's one action, 20-foot cone, concentration, and it's the number of rounds equal to my charisma modifier. It says when you use your breath weapon, you exhale a whiteout of snow and freezing wind in a cone originating from me. The area is heavily obscured and exposed flames in the area are doused.
Yeah.
The ground in the area is covered with slick ice, making it difficult terrain. And it says, until you stop concentrating on each of your turns for the duration, you can use your action to shift the direction of your breath and or cause each creature in the area of the breath weapon to make a con saving throw. The DC for this saving throw equals 8 plus your constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. On a failure, a creature takes a 2d6, which I was going to ask you because my breath weapon itself is a 3d6, but did you back off because you added the extra stuff?
It says that it goes up per level.
Oh,
in
that's
there.
right, because I'm 7th level.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yep.
It
And then it
increases at
says
3d6 and whatever.
on a failure, the creature takes a 2d6 damage and falls prone. And then it talks about how it goes up, and then if they succeed, they take half of the damage, but if
and they don't
but it's not prone.
Yeah.
not knock it down. Yeah.
Yep. And if a
So
creature,
it's like
So
Sleet
you-
Storm
yeah.
combined.
I was just gonna say.
But it also is concentration, which means that he can continue
Yeah.
like exhaling
Right.
for a number of rounds equal to his charisma modifier.
Yeah.
And
So-
if he uses like kind of like Witch Bolt, if he uses an action to like keep
Yeah.
doing it over and over again, he can continue to do it and he can shift where it is.
That's
Um,
really cool.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
have to like
Really,
so it's
really
like
cool.
it's pretty cool like that, and it also makes it heavily obscured, and it's also now a 20-foot cone rather than a 15.
and it's an ability, not
Right. It's
magic.
not a spell, and it
So
just
that's
does it.
super helpful.
So you
for
can like
concentration.
knock down a couple people that are in your way, and they're just down. They take a bunch of damage, and you can hit them again, and you can move it around. But it's cool.
That's
It's a
awesome.
little mini blizzard that you can just breathe out for
Yeah. Makes a lot
2
of sense
turns.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
The first turn you could do it, and then because of your charisma modifiers 2, you could do it again for the second turn.
Yeah. So like one more charisma point, and you can do it for 3 rounds. Plus,
Yeah.
the belt now gives you more constant.
Yeah.
Not only that, if you get that other charisma point with that ASI stuff, it increases your spell save DC as well. So it's harder for the people to resist your spells.
Mhm.
There's a couple of feats too that just give like 1 ability score
Mm-hmm.
plus
Yeah,
other
I've seen
things
that.
that they do.
Yeah.
So
I've seen
there
that.
might be one that fits that gives you that charisma score
Mhm.
plus something else that you
I
can
mean, telekinetic, telepathic, right off top of my head.
Yeah, I know, because you were looking at those real hard.
do. The original one is like
I'm still
actor,
not completely giving a fuck.
and it gives you
telekinetic.
like the ability to like mimic people better. Like I forget what it is. I think it's mimicking abilities.
Resilience.
something.
So like performance, if you ever have to like make a performance check or something, it makes it easier. On
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah,
there's
some charisma stuff.
there's things that
also
can
just,
bump that.
skilled
Yeah.
proficient that let you use it.
Mhm.
Fizzbends also gave new feats for Dragonborn.
Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
check it out, man. It's
Definitely
really
double
cool.
check. I think all those are in D&D Beyond now.
They are.
If you bought that one,
Yeah, he did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of
There's a
stuff
lot of
in there
different
that I was
options
like,
for
wow.
you.
Yeah, there's a lot.
When
But
we
I
get
wanna-
to
I gotta do it smart though. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
because I'm just getting the feeling now that all this stuff is coming in. I'm like, okay,
it's only going to get
he's
harder
not giving
and
this
harder.
stuff because we're gonna be fighting first levels on.
No.
You know, there's gonna be some
I
stuff
always-
coming at
I
us.
Yeah.
have
I-
absolutely no.
I always
Well,
assume that he's going to beat us a
I-
monster that is
Plans.
specifically trying to murder us.
Right.
That's what I always go into
I
every
can't
session
tell you-
expecting. It
I
doesn't mean that's what he thinks, but that's what I expect.
I primed and painted hundreds of tiles of terrain for possible maps that you could have gotten in because I was expecting you guys to end up in like the Underdark this session, but we did a shopping episode anyway because you persuaded them to be like,
Yeah.
Right.
no, hold on.
So next episode, when
And
we
I-
get into the
Underdark.
I hated
tunnels,
so many minis. I was going crazy, doing so much painting and printing, getting ready.
I gotta get this done
and
beforehand.
now I have another 2 weeks, and I'm just like,
I
well,
think didn't
I'm
you?
okay. No, I don't do this.
Worms.
You're like, I'm gonna go to bed. I didn't finish those Durgar, but
yeah,
Yeah. I didn't finish those Durgar.
worms, Durgar, Drow,
Fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore.
other
I'm so tired.
Underdark creatures,
I love it when I get to
illithids.
use my badge the right way like
Yeah.
that too, and just be all like, "Hey,
Yeah.
don't fuck with me. I know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about."
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, it definitely has its place.
Oh yeah,
Like trying to find your way into like a
A
king's
prison?
court, maybe not so much. But like, as far as like,
Community?
it's very circumstantial as to where it works because it doesn't open all doors, but it does open quite a few.
Mhm.
yeah. And there are times where it very much kind of acts as a, "I know what I'm talking about. You need to listen to me."
Yeah. And I also have the authority of the
Right.
Bardic College, of which all nations have agreed upon immunity for
Yeah.
backing me here.
I'm not just making this up because if
Yeah.
I was making
Yeah.
this up, I'd be in huge amounts
I
of
wouldn't
trouble.
Exactly.
have this on you if I was lying.
Right.
Lying to
Right.
you. Like,
That's part of the reason I don't really pull it out as like I could pull it out every time somebody argues with this, but I only use it when
you
somebody's
don't
like,
really
Really
pull it
need
out when
to.
you're lying too. I've noticed. You don't pull it. You never pull it out when you're lying.
not when I'm lying though.
Right.
When Log's
Right.
lying, sure.
right,
You know.
it does.
If we get into some battles with some Underdark things,
But at the
your
same time-
Devil Sight or
Super helpful.
Luna's or Moonchild's
Child.
like ability to glow
Yeah.
could come in.
I will say that it doesn't mechanically give it like a glow of sight. It's just like
No,
a small glow
but-
stick that just makes its spot.
Right.
Well,
The
and
glow stick.
reading the
Someone then.
Maybe.
Dawn in the Dusk, it sounds like the mace might have.
But
a
it
little
only
bit of
happens when
radiance
there's a full moon.
coming from it too.
I don't think it did it, or was it just radiant damage?
It's
Uh,
radiant
damage.
and necrotic damage depending on whether it's dawn or dusk.
At dawn, the weapon becomes a mace whose head is ringed with a line of radiating spikes.
Yeah,
It doesn't. If it
I-
doesn't say it gives off light mechanically, then it doesn't.
it just does.
No, that's what I was like. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure about.
It's just,
what
you can
talking
see it in
Just
the
does
dark room,
radiant
but you can't
damage.
see anything else.
That is nice though, having the
But
exact
so
We
It doesn't give
darkness,
off ambient light.
dawn.
darkness is
Right.
dispelled by
Dispelled.
magical light.
for us of worlders.
Interesting.
Of higher level.
Interesting argument, you rules lawyer.
But
Interesting because technically
Inherent
radiant light is-
glowing magic.
Oh,
Speaking as somebody
no,
who just
of a
underwent-
certain level.
Yeah.
Right. But what level is inherent feature, right?
Okay.
You can,
This is a valid concern. I'm going to put it to rest right now. If the level is not specified, it has to be a spell of a certain level. If the level of something is not specified, just because something glows a little bit and it's a magical item, unless it specifically says it gives off a level spell of a certain like light effect, then no, it
So-
doesn't
Yeah,
dispel
sure.
darkness. Because
Speaking-
darkness is specifically meant to no, that area is dark.
speaking
Regardless
of somebody
of
who,
whatever you
who
have.
recently had to look this up as I was creating and working with a trap that I was doing.
Right.
Yeah, it has to be a higher level light spell like daylight or something like that
Right.
to dispel darkness.
But it also then dispels the item that it covers.
It doesn't dispel the item's effects. It just dispels the light of the
Yeah.
item.
Okay. But if
So
the,
what
the
doesn't
light
dispel
is
like the
intrinsic,
radiant damage? No. It does. Stop it. So it's magical darkness. It has to be magical darkness. No.
if it's a creature of light,
If it's a creature made of light, then there's other shenanigans going on. Like there's okay. So if you're talking about like if a will of the wisp, or if like a celestial being
Right.
made of pure photons
Yeah.
walks into a magical darkness, that'll then depend on the
Or
challenge
anything.
rating of the creature comparatively to the spell of
Okay.
whatever you cast in darkness.
but isn't Moonchild made from moonlight?
Yeah, but outside of
Technically, that's
and
true.
they're
but
celestial.
outside of
Oh
the
my
They're
god.
celestial.
but outside
Okay.
of Windows the 3,
What have I done?
she doesn't really glow.
Okay, no.
But that's why I was bringing it up, right?
No.
She's a being of light,
Okay, no.
Look
This
at what the
is
challenge rating
kind of.
was.
kind of, right?
I didn't change the challenge rating from whatever creature I was using as a template, so whatever's on there is
Shenanigans, I call
definitely not
shenanigans.
correct.
It was
Granted, it's
it was all of the full
shenanigans you
moons,
set us up for,
like-
but
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a
Moonlight.
valid concern. Let me say this is a valid point. Let me
Yes.
say this.
Yeah.
Technically, she is a
broke it.
manifestation of moonlight given form. However, the fact that she is moonlight given form is only because of the eldritch entity that was within you. So technically, she is not actually made of light.
Okay.
She is made of that entity substance that mimics moon. Make sense?
I'll stop rules lawyer.
No.
It's like a moon
It,
jellyfish.
like
Okay.
you know, like a thing that I have. Like, if this might be a little bit of a DM Academy moment, but the
Log
thing
it out
that I
anyway, right?
have
Like,
tried
yeah,
to get better at is trying to give like reasonable reasons and flavors as to why some of the mechanical rules actually take effect.
Yep.
Like because you guys have you know not just forced me to do it, but also like you know well, like why does this work that way? And I'm like it's just the way it is, but I have to give you a better reason other than that's just the way it is. I have because it
a lot
just
of us
makes
like
more
to
sense.
logic our way through problems, and then
Of course.
it's no,
Your-
like we want reason.
Well, hold on. For just
Your
for
greater restoration examples,
yeah.
like in my mind, he took the diamonds and he compressed the darkness into the diamond. Like what Log swallowed was a diamond filled with darkness.
Yeah.
That's why you were sifting through the shit.
Try to get that diamond back. Oh yeah.
I mean, but because the only thing that can
No.
crush a diamond is
I was
something
like,
like
why
that.
you-
wrapped
I
in-
know, like
And
Why is he in
Wait,
wolf
wait.
shit?
But
But that made
and
that.
Morden's cleric melted the diamond.
Mhm.
And that was what was sucked up into
Where
the
he
syringe.
crushed the diamond.
Was
Which-
molten diamond.
Which, if you
Molten
use
diamond
diamonds
dust.
instead of rubies, maybe it wouldn't have caused those issues.
I'm just like I like, for example, of what you were talking about, your explanations of how things happen.
So the thing I have struggled with the most is describing deleterious effects to you that have creatures have
Yeah.
that don't really have like rules as written examples as to what they actually are. Because you're like, why do I feel this way? DM, tell me what the fuck is going on with my body. And I'm just like, okay. And I have to like rationale it. And I'm like, okay, so it
We
makes
don't
sense
have, like,
that like
teenagers in
parts of the clay golem would have like microbia would have attached itself to your cells, and therefore like prevented them from like really doing their job. Like small
Diluted clay in your veins.
yeah, would
sort
fucking
of like
suck,
Right.
right?
yeah,
So that's kind of what makes sense. Whereas like the
diluting slowing down your blood, diluting your blood. Like we
exactly.
can't-
So I'm like that's one of the struggles that I've had as far as that, and I find it's so much better, especially, and it enhances the experience for the players. And correct me if I'm wrong. If I actually give you like a logical rationale, whether I pull it out of my ass or not,
Right.
as to what it is that is actually affecting
Yeah.
you, rather than just saying That's just
The
way
rules
it is.
say it
The
does.
rules say you are like that.
Yeah.
You rolled a stealth check. You can't see. Like, okay, for example, when you had that ghost vision sight, and you were like, "How can they hide? I can see through the walls. Where can they hide?" I'm just like, okay, well, they're a legendary assassin. Just because you can see through the walls doesn't mean they're hiding behind the wall.
You know
they
what
could
to
be
look for.
just hiding in your blind spot. They could be, melding into the shadow. There's a bunch of different things that they could be thinking. But I did give you, and that's the thing is like if I can't come up with something, that's my fault, and I have to give you a concession. Granted, don't use that against me. Don't be like, how can I catch TJ to make it difficult for him to explain something so I can get advantage on this check. Like,
We'll talk to the rules lawyer and let him come up
Right,
with, the,
right.
with the
All
language.
right, we'll call them up. Call them up.
but yeah, but it also like increases the immersion too, and like, oh shit, okay, I get now why Vlad could cast that spell because he was able to suck blood or blood. I get why I couldn't see that creature even though I could have X-ray vision, or
Yeah.
I get why my maximum hit points are down. It's super, super, super helpful, and I now have like put into my checklist of things before I like make custom stat blocks as to okay, how could my players pick this apart? How could my players pick this apart?
Why
and
does
what
this thing
rationale
do
do I
this?
have for as to why this
To
is
be
happening?
fair, it's not how will my players pick this apart. It's when will my players
Yeah,
pick
right,
this apart.
exactly.
One of us is gonna nitpick.
Exactly.
yeah.
Of course, you guys are, and I expect that, and that's part of the fun and everything. And I, as my job as DM, like have to be one step ahead of you, like at all times. And if I'm not doing my job. And there are times where I panic, and I'm like, shit. And I'm like,
We know
and
you don't do that as quietly as you think you do.
but I feel like there are some times where I'm just like, okay, I pulled that out of my ass. Yeah, good job, DJ.
Ken or Kevin are gonna give you sass.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Noelle's gonna remember the details
Yep.
of what you said,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna remember what the book says.
Yes, exactly.
And one of us is gonna nitpick you.
Yeah.
Their powers of mine.
No matter what you do.
We tend to he and I just tend to go down the logical one and just be sassy pants about it.
Oh, it does this? Really? It does that?
The more we play, though, I'm getting better and better and better at
You are.
being like, and then because you guys are being like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
we
you're also. I mean, we're also picking up what our characters are used to
Right.
as well, and you're used to our characters more
Yeah.
now too,
Yep.
etc.
Because
Well, and we are too.
the
Like,
rules are there to
Yeah.
simulate realness.
Right.
They're not a placeholder for realness. So of
Right.
course
Or
your
David
characters
Hart.
need to have some logical reason as to why this is happening. Granted, I could just say magic, but I don't like to do that all the time. Granted, sometimes the reason is
It does
Sometimes.
yeah.
but,
It does it because it does it.
yeah, it does it because it does it. I mean, like a lot of the time with the artificer, you have to just say, "Yeah, it's magic, man."
It
Like,
works.
It just works. But that's another real reason why I like.
I do this thing because I do this thing.
Yeah, you do the thing because you do the thing. Is because when we make custom like abilities and dynamics and paradigms and spells, is I like it to have some sort of correlation or some sort of tie to who you are as a character, where you derive your power from. You're a wizard, you argue with the universe and
Yeah.
you convince it that it's wrong and you're right.
I'm like, look at this equation. Like, how can
You poke holes in the laws of physics and convincing physics to be like, yeah, you raise a valid point. And
Right.
like, whereas the warlock, you make some sort of deal or convince it to give you more power, whereas the cleric is that proves to the deity they're worthy of more power, and the artificer is just like new invention, yay,
Mad
tinker, mad scientist. So it all makes sense that all of you guys have different ways and methods of actually coming up with
Emotions,
your own
music.
things.
Yeah.
you know.
Devotion,
Yeah.
music, storytelling.
Yeah.
Well,
So it
and,
makes entire.
and I had those. Our characters are definitely not the same as they were in session one or even
No.
session
No.
two.
No.
When I created Cole, he was this super serious kind of asshole-ish piece of
twink.
Yeah, well,
He's still a twink.
he's still a twink. That part hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But like shortly after we started playing, Cole immediately like changed into this huge smartass, big
Yeah.
old, just always out to have fun,
I
not
think
yeah,
for
really
you to a
bit of a
certain
serious
extent.
about stuff. That was actually always in my head for him. I was
Yes.
when I was creating I never thought of him as like, I wrote him in my mind as an asexual being. So it was like, okay, cool. I could just play with this. Like,
Yeah.
it never entered in my head that he was going to be the horny bard. Like, and it wasn't even like trying to avoid the trope. I just never thought of him as the horny bard.
Right. It was just the way he
Right.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because so many people fall into that trap of that stereotype of the horny bard. Be like,
Hey, I can do whatever I
I
want.
persuade the dragon to have coitus with me. And I'm like, okay.
Well, and
Okay,
for
have
when
fun.
Cole left his home and did all his traveling and everything like that, it really makes sense that he's really inexperienced and unsure around what
Anybody,
objects of
right?
his desire and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Confidence levels too, though. Right?
Yeah, you've gone up.
I mean, we've all been
Zemdak
taking
still
hits.
has
though.
not learned how to shut up. But
But
Zemdak
we
never
talked
learned how to
about it this time. We talked about it this time. It was
We
great.
did talk about
it was really great.
I don't know how to people, so I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do until one of you guys tells me to shut up.
I mean, again, I think
well,
we talked
what
about
I've started to realize is I'm never going to get ahead of Zemdak.
no.
But if I can at least start saying
If I start
near
talking-
Zemdak, I can at least try and help.
yeah.
If I
do
start
see-
talking and you're just like Zemdak, shut up, just
yeah.
let me
Because
talk.
Zemdak
Which is
could
like
see the problem.
totally down to the bard. The bard's job is also because any creature, any person or character that has high charisma, knowing
Should
when
be
to talk
talking.
and when not to talk, they're both part of charisma.
Yep.
They're both very, very part
Yes.
of charisma. That's all part of social tact. They knowing when to be like
What is
when
your
enough
charisma
is
score?
enough. When you've
10.
said just the right amount, not too much, not too little. That's all charisma. So like when you see like Zemdak saying too much, you're like shh, 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 okay, shh, shh, shh,
Yeah.
shut your mouth, shut your mouth.
And unless one of you tells me to shut up,
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Well,
keep
I mean, I'm
talking.
only slightly
The-
better
the
than you.
pro-
It's not.
Some of my problem with that is the ones that get you in trouble are the really short questions where
Yeah.
you say this really long phrase that has nothing to do with the short question that's going to have you roll a persuasion roll.
Yeah.
And I have literally no time to do anything in between.
Nope.
If you go up to cops and ask and then be like, hey, what do you know about these clandestine?
So don't even give me the
Criminal-
You take the lead in a situation where you're there. Take the lead. Don't let me get a chance to talk.
But
Or
it's
you
so
could-
entertaining.
Or you could be like, hey,
Sure.
what do you
You're
think about this?
absolving yourself of so much responsibility. You're like,
All I'm saying-
responsible for my own
No, no,
actions.
no, no.
You're responsible.
I'm
for
responsible.
me from
No,
acting.
but I agree with Lod. though.
I'm responsible.
That's my thing. Like I like for him to kind of run a little bit
Yeah.
because I want to see if you're
Well, and there have been-
I'm responsible.
There have been
I'm
a
like,
few
it's about
times
to
where him
turn up.
running has been very helpful to us.
I like it when he does that. You know what I'm saying? Because he's pushing the envelope. Because a lot of times he gets a lot of shit out of people, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah,
I'm
you know what the
responsible for my
boundaries
own
are, and then you can
failures.
step in and be like, now the professional, now I know who you are and where your boundaries are.
Right.
Let me manipulate the situation.
But also,
I'm
He's not
responsible.
with us. You can step
I'm
aside.
responsible for every failure that I'm responsible for.
that's fair.
Yes.
But
I'm not responsible for the failures that you guys don't stop me
Oh.
from.
That is such a cop out. That's such a cop out. To be like, I'm absolving myself
And
of
it's
all
11.
responsibility.
Okay, cool.
It's
Then I just won't go
okay.
shopping
So I could
with Zemdak
potentially bump it
anymore.
up.
That's 100%
okay, so
on you.
both you and I have the same,
I could potentially bump that up
or maybe,
if I really wanted to.
but like,
But
My
I,
God.
I appreciate the fact that you go up, and I feel like you ask some smart questions, but then some other people can be like, let's people this.
Let's people this.
Let's make this a little nicer. a
let's
little
take that
softer.
thought
Now-
and
now-
we'll reframe.
Now,
it.
I know what my friend just said. Now, what he meant was
Right.
this.
Yeah. Like he's
You're a
he's
machine,
We're
and if
gonna,
I
like-
put the right things into you, you will spit the right things.
Like,
out.
there are times where I just really want to go up there and go, Boots, just go draw on your diagrams. Let the grown-ups talk.
Nah.
If you tell me that, I probably will. So,
Talking. You said me personally, I actually appreciate it because, like you said, he goes up, he asks questions, the right questions. If someone's got to step in and kind of make it PC perfect, and if they have a problem with it and want to turn up, then we can turn it up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
but
that's
that's
the cool thing is I definitely see like don't you think I don't know what the fuck because I totally fucking see Adam leaking.
Oh, yeah.
Excruciatingly.
I won't deny that.
Because Adam is like, answer my fucking question. I have so many questions. What about your role? Tell me more
Yeah.
about the lore. What's happening? I need the answer to my questions. Or, and that's very, very Adam. And I see Adam leaking into Zemdeck so much.
But
But
we all-
Zemdeck doesn't know how to execute.
No.
on it. And so they're like, so the rest of the party is like, yeah, those are the questions we wanted to ask. That's not the way we wanted to ask them.
But thanks for asking them. And let's see what happens. You know?
That's why I've kind of given up on like trying to get ahead of him and just like trying to do damage control after he says things.
There you go. There you go.
Granted, you're the more and when you start to get up to more high society and people
Yeah,
with
yeah,
more
yeah.
power, that's going to become more and more and more
That's-
dangerous.
That's
You say the
when it'll
wrong
turn
thing
to
once.
Purdue. We're going somewhere.
That's
Can we
it.
get the ball gag?
Yeah.
Talking
Or
like
you-
I did to Manny could have been bad. With as high up as his shop was.
So
Talking
for a
the way you
person
do
in
to
that
Grim
position, he was extremely patient.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
you
could have
are
easily
talking
just
to the air
told
to
people
the
to
head of
arrest
a
you because you were
Kruger house.
Manny.
yeah, you have a bad habit. Zemdek has a bad habit of just giving people nicknames that they don't ask for, and then being like, "No, please don't," and then being like, "Nah, bitch, this is what I'm gonna call you now."
What was that, Manny? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Hey,
it.
Grim
Grim?
Grim. It's like I am a member of high society. You'll name me. You call me Adam Grim. All right, Grim Grim. What's your town?
People not
Grim
the best.
Grimmar. All right, Grim Grimmar.
You can't tell me no gnome in the history has ever called him Manny.
I literally can't tell you because you don't know any of the notes.
We don't.
Well, I think it's great personally.
It's fun. It's a nice little chaos.
Yeah.
All right, there's one more thing we should probably talk about. We talked about Eleazar and Pernua. We talked about Zemdak's social ineptitude. We talked about Moonchild and Log's poop. We talked about the flavors of my great
You can't
restoration.
tell me that it wasn't a valid question.
One last thing on the flavors of great restoration. So I find that obviously these are clerics, right?
Yeah.
And they are meant to do a service.
Mhm.
And obviously different deities are going to give you different ways as to which this power is going to manifest.
Mhm.
But the Raven Queens are going to have like darkness form as a magnet to try to take everything else out, or the Palor or Mordian's going to like burn
Shine
it
it
out
out.
of you or shine it out of you.
I'm
This makes
fully
more sense.
expecting Argus's to burn in some way.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Or
I
to
mean,
be
he's fire.
with his hammer, right? He's either going to like smack us with his
Smack
hammer.
you with his hammer,
Up
or
and
like stop being sick.
I
Actually,
can
that's
actually
really-
see him doing
yep.
that.
Or it's going to be
Yeah.
fire based in some way, and it's going to burn really bad.
Hold,
Like you
hold
walk on
still.
hot
I'm gonna
coals
burn
and then-
I'm gonna burn the evil out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
something like that. Like Boy on the Blood, I thought was kind of fun with the big syringe.
Yeah.
Because I like to inject a little comedy into it. So I like, there's this giant syringe, and
Well, no, and as you're
No.
Like what?
literally you're sitting there explaining it, and I'm going,
Argus
it's
would
just a
love
gi-
that.
Well, no, it's
Like,
literally
that
a
was-
giant version of what he did to Log.
yeah, that's true. You did you interested. You
It's a
injected
bunch of
it,
magic.
but you still have that thing. Well, you haven't called upon it yet.
The rest of us don't like fire,
Like
but
the
Argus is so
bipolar.
in love with fire. I'm going to inject you with magma. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
Like
down.
that.
Immediately, he was like, I'm down.
To the
What's
rest
worst
of
that
us,
could happen? I
no.
burn in flames.
Keep
Fine,
that
my
shit away from
God will
me.
love that shit.
For Argus, yes, please.
What else? Was one other thing that we should probably discuss before we wrap it up.
I mean, I was really sad about Big Boss. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. Okay. So
But that doesn't have to be the last thing we talk about because that's really a sad note.
no, but there is something we should talk about that. The information that you gathered, I believe, from your sister and yourself from when you did
and
stuff,
fathers and yeah.
and your father's, is that there are people that have kind of taken it upon themselves from like the temples of the
Did you
god
say
pharaohs, like religious
Thought you said
zealots that
big
have kind of
boss. I was
taken
like, big
control
boss.
of the
Big boss.
But boss, sorry.
I heard Big Boss. I was like, who's
What
Big
is
Boss?
wrong with you? So, but you do know of these like religious zealots that have kind of like
Yeah.
taken control
Enemy.
of the boss, which is
Good
probably
father.
some exclusive information that you have that probably other people don't have. So that's big, and that could mean a lot of things. It's like the Spanish Inquisition,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
kind of taken over.
And
Inquisition.
No one expected.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
and Trishani, knowing that she can't get there in time, was trying to do whatever she could to help her fathers.
To a
and
certain
do what
extent,
she
though,
could.
too, like at our level, there's only so much we can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So knowing that there's bigger problems out there existentially sucks.
Oh, and that's the thing too, is that like it's not necessarily my writing. The world I created a
Right.
world, and I let the world.
The world is always
Live.
moving.
I let it go. I unhook the leash and I let it go, and it does whatever it's going to do. And you guys can't control everything that goes on
No,
the
we
world all
can't.
the time. You can't be everywhere all at once.
No.
I mean, at some level, you might be able to be.
It's the same way that you can't control what we do.
Exactly. And so we both drive the story together. The world has a mind of its own now. I have very little control over what happens. All I'm doing is printing out minis,
For the-
painting minis, and
yeah.
preparing things for what possibly could. Guys,
It's true.
how many possible scenarios I have to prepare for is maddening. It's maddening.
Yes,
But-
it is.
How many minis do you get? And you're like, oh, that's really cool. I'm gonna make them
I
run
could
into
make a
this.
story for that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that's really cool. Like
No, I think it's
really cool stuff with the Wiz Chess campaigns. Like I love printing out all these cool like Feywild and like
the
Trent
the
and
root displacers was a really cool twist on Displacer Beast.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Yeah,
to
thank you.
run into the middle of forest.
And I found those on one of the patrons on like my manufacturer that I sponsored. I was like, oh,
Displacer
those are
beasts are like
cool.
panthers with
I
tentacles
think it
growing
was
off their back
Mini Monster Maze,
that can like
if I'm
they
not
can
mistaken.
sort
They
of
can make
like
themselves
short range
out of
teleport.
here,
Yeah, and it's hard to hit them because they're constantly shifting in space.
Hmm.
He made like a nature-based version of that.
So they're made out of like roots and
Yeah.
like
They're really
vines.
cool
It's amazing.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were fun to paint and everything. So
They-
all this is a lot of fun.
One shot
Speaking
our
of
monk.
which, if you have a moment, if you want to go through my box of unpainted stuff that I have here, that'd be very helpful.
They one shot
yeah.
our
I
monk,
brought you 2 new
They
ones.
almost
today.
one shot our
great, thank you.
fighter.
I'll check them out.
and we were all down to single-digit hit points.
Oh wow.
The other 4 of us before we took them out.
Mhm.
2 of them against 6 of us, 7 of us.
So
And we were
another
almost
thing,
fucked.
what was something? So George, well, 2 things. One, George. 2 is the power scaling and danger scaling. We'll talk about both of those things. One, George. I have a soft spot in my heart for George. I love
Poor
George.
George.
I love his
Giorgio.
6 different personalities.
Jorge.
George,
He's very
Jorgen,
clearly a NPC that you created, fell in love with, and you just it's
Yeah.
a great thing. Yeah.
George, Jorgen, Joris, Jorge, Giorgio, and Gigi all together.
Honestly,
I love them.
it should have been 6 brothers that were all named those names,
No, it's just one dude who has these 6 different personalities.
like twins.
But they're technically still 6 different entities because in his mind he
Right.
still views them.
They're
as-
different.
But he's functional. He's
personalities.
high functioning.
Yeah.
Like he does all this stuff and he does it. Bum, 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 no problem. Like
Making profits.
making
you know?
profits, making money, doing everything. I mean, he doesn't have to split it with 5 other people.
Nope.
So I mean, he's making bank. I love him. We didn't talk about the name of the bazaar with the 6 stalls is called You Want It. You, the letter apostrophe Wan, WAN apostrophe IT. You Want It. Is the name of his place with all these different people. And I love
Is one
him.
of the
I love
brothers Juan?
him. No, but
It should be.
but
Should
it's
be.
not. There's only 6 of them.
I mean, you can make as many of them.
I mean, that depends. We can
Are you
always
trying
try
to force another personality into his mind?
I mean, it could
You
have
gotta,
been
like,
like,
Moon
We can,
Knight this
implant
guy?
the idea.
Well, you know what? We just have to, we just have to ask for
Come
something
to
that he
him,
doesn't.
right?
stock.
Exactly. We come to and ask him for something he doesn't have.
Yeah.
He's got to create a
And
new
tell him-
identity
for
for that.
Juan.
And
that
tell him that
product.
we only want to deal
Really
with him.
good point.
Tell him that we only want to deal with him if he tries to send us to somewhere else. No, it's got to be through you. We have to deal with you.
Or you can have Juan be the overseer of all the different enterprises. Just saying.
Goodness gracious.
Juan's the delivery guy. He's the
Juan,
one that
Juan could be
he's
the
the one that leaves
overall
the stall
it
and runs
of-
product out to
I
people.
loved him so much I had to make sure that I got each of his personalities
Oh, yeah.
with the right accent. It's also a chance for me to be like, hey, I get to exercise, voice actor muscles and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and accents are fun. So that was a lot of fun. I love doing that for you. I like describing like Giorgio's a lot of fun. He's, what do you ask of this guy? I can give you some incense or whatever. Bing, bling, 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 bling. This is constantly plucking a sitar. Imagine how talented this individual has to be be moon knighting and multiple personality through all of these things, of which he's an expert in all of them. He's the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moon Knight.
Yeah, right. So great. So we talked about that. Other thing I want to talk about is damage and danger scale. We're talking a little bit about more than we should, but whatever. I don't give a fuck. The thing that I really like to instill in you guys as players, especially in my world, is that the world is very, very dangerous, especially at lower levels.
Yeah.
And you're going to understand that just because you're lower level doesn't mean the world goes easy on you.
Yeah.
If you guys put yourself into dangerous situations that, higher level or more experienced adventurers are going to be in, you're going to still experience that danger.
I can name at least 3 fights that we've done before we started streaming that definitely prove that.
Yeah, and it makes sense because the world doesn't pull punches. You're like
First big fight we ever
life
had.
doesn't pull punches. You're going to you if you're going to enter a situation, you better know what you're getting yourself into, and if you don't, you're gonna be not so pleasantly surprised.
Problem is
Ooh,
that we
there's the
don't
editor
ever
cap,
know what
the
we're getting
spectator,
into.
and
We just bumble
yeah.
into it and be
Well,
like,
the
oh,
other
hey.
thing too is that a lot of the
beings that
characters
chased us through
would
the
have no
hallway.
reason to
Right.
know what they're getting themselves into, which is why death and dismemberment is rampant.
Which is sometimes why we try to run away, don't realize that we can't run away, so we fight anyways.
It's running away is always a valid option, but there
Kind
are
of.
risks to both fighting and running away.
I mean, if,
We've
if one of our
only-
friends is dead, we can't run away and leave the body.
That is a decision.
That is
That's on you guys.
that is a decision that we have made several
Yeah,
times.
that's
Yes.
a decision. Like, yeah.
That's, I mean, that is why.
You absolutely can leave someone behind. Are
Right.
you willing to leave someone?
No. That's
No, that's why we went back for Queenie and
Yeah.
Darius.
And I'm still very curious how the day will end with us learning where Sofka is with the sending that
Yeah,
Argus
And
was.
why we kept looking for Eleazar during the time he was gone. Like,
Yeah.
we have very much made the distinction.
So
that we
yeah,
wanna
now
go
you guys
after.
are getting up there more in levels, and you're starting to understand shit. The world is an extremely dangerous place, and you're starting to understand how to deal with those dangers more and more and more. But you also now have fell into a tangled web that has been weaved with the conclave and all of these other things, which have very dangerous, very powerful entities. So you're going beyond the realm of just haphazard nature dangers of being in the Underdark, or being out in the plains, or be out in nature and having to deal with monsters and blah blah blah. To now
Politics.
intellectual, politics and intellectual individuals that have power and have been fabricating and fostering this power for many years. So there's now that part of it too.
so two things. I don't know if you know it, if he told you or not, but we reached out to you every couple of days, every 2 or 3 days, trying to get clues from you as to where you were.
And you only respond in those coughs.
So they were like mental messages that we sent to you, and like
I
if you,
talked to you about that.
if you could answer, you could. If you couldn't, you
Right.
would like code back to us essentially that you couldn't. So yeah,
They found
We
out
have
from
never-
you that you were faking it for being sick so that they would go easy on you, or
Okay, yeah.
because
that's
you were
right.
immune to the disease.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You told me that. That's right. Okay. Yeah.
we haven't left any of us behind. I don't think in any situation.
No. Yeah.
No, gotta find Sofka now. But
And number
Yeah,
two,
that's-
as expensive as it was, fixing you guys was super important
It
Right.
was.
because we're getting to the point where we run into things that can just wipe you out.
And
at that
Wipe you
level,
out, and
Right.
then the spoils of which could be extremely significant.
Well, and like
and that
love
was long
log,
into it.
but our healer being down.
Or I know, yeah, you
Huge.
took priority,
Right.
and Log
Yeah.
even said that.
At around like 30 hit points, something that can do 60 damage to
Yeah.
you, just instant death. Like you are
Gone.
paste on the wall.
No.
Which is why it's important for you guys to keep fostering that, co-defense of each
Yeah.
other's.
Yep.
Mhm.
And having the paladin and having that whole aura of
Protection. I've got the
Protection.
bless. So yeah, there.
yeah.
I'm
that's huge.
definitely really making sure I'm keying in on those spells in particular because
Or
we
abilities.
need to be because we need to be buffed and ready to deal with
Yeah.
whatever's going to come. So I've really been focusing on those, and those are the ones I've got prepared.
I just thought of something.
Bless, Shield of Faith are always great things paladins prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Bane is also
Yep.
amazing.
Yep, I've got Bane as well. Yep.
Misty Step, you just always have
Yep.
prepared, so which is fucking awesome for a paladin. You
You know what I was
teleport
wondering
and
though?
go.
Oh, it has to be.
I was wondering, and it's probably no, but I was wondering, like, so if any of us ever get in danger
Mhm.
and we're next to each other, could I grab them, Misty Step, and take them with?
So Misty Step you can.
No,
No.
Thunder Step
Door.
and Dimension Door you can.
there's other teleportation spells that
And there's
specifically
one
say
more,
you can take
too.
people with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Thunder Step you can take a willing creature with
Yep.
you.
Dimension
Dimension
Step,
Door.
I believe you. might
Dimension
be able-
Door I think.
Willing
yeah,
means
Far
what?
Step is a very
Like,
Like-
do you have to be
spell.
conscious to
Yeah,
be willing,
yeah.
or just like,
No, if you're unconscious, you are automatically willing.
yeah,
I got you.
by default willing because you can't resist.
We
Okay.
we went over that in a prior battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was He was gonna like Misty Step out with people that were unconscious. So
Okay.
we
Well,
figured that.
you can't Misty Step with people
No.
unless you have like a specific.
And I was just
Teleport.
thinking about that because I'm
Teleport.
like, okay.
Because Misty Step is just you
Yeah.
specifically. That's
Right.
why it's a second level spell.
Okay.
Thunder Step is a third level spell, which allows you to teleport with a willing creature. If it's not a willing creature, they have to make a saving throw. If they fail the saving throw, they come with you anyway.
Yeah.
Only one person.
Only one other person. Same thing
Gotcha.
with the Dimension Door. Dimension Door, I think, was a fourth level spell.
Yeah.
Fourth
Yeah.
level spell. Same thing, but it has to be a creature of your size or smaller.
Okay.
Yep.
Also, willing creature.
But
Thunder
500
Steps-
feet.
Yeah.
Or 500 feet.
Thunder
you don't
Step's
have to
really
see where
good.
you're going.
Yeah.
Thunder Step's really good if you're
You
like
have to know.
surrounded.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
'Cause
do
it-
damage
Right.
as
It
you
does a crack of thunder, so
I'm not sure you'll ever get access to that spell.
Right.
you guys disappear and everybody around you takes thunder damage.
As you
Essentially.
like just disappear in a boom of thunder.
Right.
And,
then
Dimension
there's
Door is 500 feet, so you just like
Yeah.
disappear.
far
Yeah.
step, teleport.
You're so far away that they sort of lose track of you.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is a good question. No, you can't bring people with you with Misty Step. There are other spells that you can do it.
Right.
However, it doesn't mean that you can't like throw your body on top of them if you're trying to protect them. Or
Right.
anything. Granted, if you had taken a fighting style like protection, you could have like used your reaction to impose disadvantage, kind of like how Conk does,
Mm-hmm.
or however that works.
Or doesn't Pernua do something like that? Or
Pernua has that protection.
I have a
Yeah.
spell
She took
question.
that fighting style.
I have a spell question for you
Yes.
to think about.
Yes.
Warding Bond
Yes.
allows me to create a connection between me and another creature where they get essentially like half
Resistance to
damage,
damage, and you take
and I
half
take
the
the-
damage.
I
as well.
take it.
Right.
So you pretty much whatever damage it is, it's split between the two of you.
Can I cast that between Conk and another creature instead of myself and another creature?
What is the range of the spell say? Does it say self?
No. Touch.
And what is the wording of the spell? Does it say you?
That
and another
one.
Creature?
That one is between you and the target
it's you.
until the spell.
It's you.
Okay.
Because unless it was like something like a familiar,
Mhm.
where it was a touch.
Right,
spell,
and that
you
was-
could-
Could work.
That's
that
an
way it would be
extension
the
of me.
familiar and there, but no,
Conk's not an extension of me.
It specifically
To the
says in the
point.
battle. It doesn't say specifically in the
Okay.
in the Steel Defender that you can cast
Cool.
spells through him.
Right.
So no. Granted, that could be something that you could work on a Mark III of possibly. That might be something that's worth considering. Kind of like infusing the abilities that the familiars have that you guys both have access to
So,
into your Steel Defender.
Another plus
might
one
be
to
something
AC.
worth looking into.
and all saving throws.
Because you know you can
And you
cast
have
spells that
resistance
have
to
the
all
range of
damage.
touch through
Right.
your familiar. So you can do it through Twig and you can do it
Whoa.
through
Shikar.
Chikar.
So I can give that to you essentially, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
And that
I'm-
means
gotta get him
you
back
get
in the
another plus one to
morning.
AC.
yeah.
And any damage you take, it's half.
But then,
Probably
but
gonna
you
do
receive
I
that
take
other
the
half.
other half.
Right, because I remember I was watching that on YouTube and I was like, that would be good for someone who had a lot of HP, you know,
Right.
taking half of the damage all the time. And you're also protecting someone who might
But-
think maybe they don't have.
In another aspect, right, with one more AC, you're even harder to hit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, plus your heavy armor master, you're taking less damage.
Right.
So,
So actually, this has been covered. Warding Bond can deliver the spell as though it had casted the spell. It's the only way in which the familiar acts as the caster of the spell.
Right.
And
but Conk's not a familiar.
but
Correct.
you will still be the caster of the spell, and the you in Wording Bond will still be you.
Okay.
Not the familiar.
He can do the touching, but it's still me that's on the other
Yeah.
end of the bond.
Correct. That would be the current understanding of what it is. However, if you were to, try to customize him and modify him to make it otherwise,
He is the damage
it's
sink,
not outside of the
essentially.
realm of possibility.
Cool.
However, that's going to take some work.
Yeah.
Most likely an entire redo of his model.
Yeah.
Um,
Just essentially, like if I did that, it would give you my HP pool on top of your HP pool. So,
yeah, you'd share HP for as long as he's concentrating on the spell.
Yeah.
You concentrate on it, or it just happens.
it's concentration.
Don't remember.
It is. Either way, I think I have ways of making you beefier. I think Argus has ways of making you beefier.
Mhm.
Like you being out in front of us now
Right.
Super
important.
helpful.
Yeah.
Super
Thinking,
helpful.
what if a paladin took a level in barbarian and just raged,
Yikes. That's
but you couldn't concentrate on spells?
No.
Okay, so
But
You
you
can
could
still
still
smite.
smite.
You could still
you could
smite.
fill pump slots
You
in
could still
smites,
smite,
though.
but you couldn't do your new concentration breath weapon except for the first blast of it.
So I was,
No, it's not concentration.
so I was watching
Well,
YouTube
his
and
new
they
one.
were saying
No,
how
warning bond.
Oh, warning
difficult
bond.
it
You're
is
right.
to
It's
kill
just
a
blast right now.
barbarian. And they talked about a series of play where a barbarian was in a dragon's mouth. The dragon chomped down on it, dropped it 300 feet, came down, breathed fire on it, and the barbarian still killed the dragon. I'm
Yeah.
like, how in the fuck is that humanly possible?
Well, if it was a
It's
bear
not.
totem barbarian, perhaps, because the bear totem barbarian has resistance to all damage, not just bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing. If the dragon breathed fire on it, it's going to take full damage unless it's the bear totem barbarian.
But
Otherwise, it'll
yes.
take half damage. But it is possible, but it would have to be a very strong barbarian,
Yeah.
and it would have to like save on all of its saves, to really.
And I mean, fall damage, it's more of like a DM thing. It's
It
technically
is bludgeoning damage. Rage would have it.
Yeah. And it's technically a d6 per 10 feet over 10 feet.
300 feet though.
So that'd be 290 d6 or
29
29 d6.
d6.
Holy.
Or
That is an average of what is that? 80. No, 9 times 3 is 27.
3.5.
So that's an
times
average of
29.
87 damage. 29 d6.
That's
3.5 times
3 times
I
20.
mean,
60
max
plus
damage on it is
27.
174.
75-ish, 76-ish.
Well, average is 87 because it's 3 times 20.
It's 3.5
60.
times 9.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right, but still, yeah.
Yes, I was just like, what?
But I mean, like, you can also say, like, hey, there's terminal velocity. Like, the
There
max
is.
falling
At
damage
some point-
you're ever going to
Well, actually, in the book, it actually talks about in the book there is a terminal velocity of the maximum damage. I believe it's 20 d6.
Yeah.
Um.
So there's a cap, too, right? You're going to get falling as fast as you can fall.
And then
Right.
Well,
So if you fall from 300 feet, maybe you only take 200
Yes,
feet.
the maximum falling damage you can take is 20 d6,
Yeah.
or 120 points.
210 feet is the maximum falling damage you can take. So you can fall from higher than that. You're still only going to take the 20.
Granted,
200.
also the rules is which I do fall in
He can
is that if
change
you
that.
are in a position where you just straight free fall, and there's nothing that would stop you, you fall 500 feet immediately.
Or
You just do
540 or whatever it is.
500 feet.
mathematically.
You 500 feet immediately. If you would hit something during that 500 feet, you
Ah.
take the damage.
You also
But-
can't rage while wearing heavy armor. So you couldn't wear heavy
Oh,
armor.
right.
Well, that would be
That's a
that would be
armor
where we
defense.
not really necessarily.
That's a
work
big
for
problem for
paladin.
you because of your heavy armor master.
right.
So here's the other deal with that then is you, in order for someone to stop that damage, that fall damage, someone would have to have a reaction to
Yeah.
do something immediately, or you would have to do something on your turn.
Yep.
At the end of your turn, you just fall. Or you just immediately fall.
Yep.
Reactions are the only thing that can really stop. So it's always good for somebody to have a reaction feather fall.
You got it.
All right, I think that's all the time we have for. We went way over what we usually use, but we had a lot of things to talk about. We had fun. I hope you guys had fun. And as always, guys, stay safe out there. Bye.
Bye.
Take
Okay,
care.
guys.